Yeah, you're very welcome along to our featured Déise Óg piece this week, and our final development squad that we're going to look at is the Déise Óg under-16 football development squad, and delighted to be joined on the line by their manager Vinny Murray from Rathgormuck, who's been with this particular gang since they've been under 14 when they would have played in the Jim Power. Vinny and his backroom team have been there the whole way up and have just finished their summer of activities and are on a bit of a breather for the minute, like most squads with the Minor Hurling Championship ongoing. But first of all, Vinny, thanks for joining us. And as we were just talking off air there, Vinny, I suppose you've been with this gang since they were under 14 as well. So I'm sure yourself and the rest of the mentors, even, you have a pretty good picture of the lads now. And you might maybe first of all talk us through how the whole involvement maybe came about at under 14 level.
Thanks, Gavin. Thanks for having us on. Yeah, I suppose how it started was John Quinn was organising some things with under 12s maybe back in 2017, some very kind of low scale kind of once a month sessions with football hurling one month and football one month, hurling the other month, and I kind of did a few little bits down Carriganore with a group, and that kind of led into the following year then when they were preparing for the under 14 squads, which are the first, I suppose, proper development squad system. And in December of 2018 we would have held trials like for the following years, the 2019 under 14 squad, and we would have held maybe 3 or 4 Sundays in December and would have had 100 players trying out for it, and would have picked the squad then for the following January, February, and would have started preparing for the Jim Power tournament, which would have taken place in July 2019, so that's kind of, I suppose, there was probably a long lead in. I suppose me and most of the other selectors involved had a long history of juvenile involvement in our clubs, so kind of just followed on from that. And as I say, we went through that 2014 or the 2019 under 14 Jim Power tournament reasonably well. I think we got to the play final against Tipperary and lost out, but there was a nice bunch of players there, and a lot of lads who were actually on the Tony Forrester squad as well were on our squad, and so there was a good spread throughout the county and a good standard, Now we decided to stay on then with that bunch, and we prepared for the under 15 season on the 2020 under 15 squad, and again would have done the similar thing, would have run a kind of a regional kind of trials game thing in November, December, ready to go in 2020 with the under 15 squad, and would have had the squad selected and done a few sessions. And then of course March 2020 and the pandemic hit, and everything came to a halt, and everything changed, So yeah, I suppose that's the background of our initial involvement with this bunch. But so we in some ways we've been involved in over 4 years, you know what I mean? So we would have a good knowledge of the players throughout the county as a result, at that age group.
Yeah, very good, very interesting indeed. And as you said, the last, I suppose, year, maybe 12 months, nearly 15 months at this stage, when COVID struck in March 2020, it's been, I suppose, so unpredictable really, Vinny, because you were probably doing a lot of maybe Zoom sessions and not seeing the lads. But I'm sure once you got the go ahead to go back this year, early June, I think it was, when development squads were back as well, that was great to, I suppose, meet the lads again, I'm sure.
Yes, it was. Yeah. Now we kind of took a view that, the Zoom sessions, I think, some squads tried them out and they worked reasonably well. I suppose we had been with that bunch, which almost 2 years, so we kind of knew the players and the parents to a certain extent. So we actually kind of, there was a program put in place by, Jerry Fitzpatrick and Vinny Whelan, kind of for fitness and strength conditioning stuff for them to work on their own. So we kind of gave them that and, kind of checked in with them every so often, see how they were getting on, as opposed to engaging with them weekly, because it was tough on everyone. Like, you didn't know what the time frame was for the lockdown ending, and you didn't want to be setting targets that really you couldn't monitor either. So we kind of gave the program and kind of checked in with them every month or 6 weeks, and of course the return to play kept pushing out then as well, which didn't help. So, and as I say, we had actually done about 3 or 4 sessions in January, February before the lockdown started, and we actually had a squad of 45 waiting to be reduced, and we had done things like we'd taken on a lot of goalkeepers, and we did goalkeeping sessions with them throughout February, like whereas there were just literally 9 goalkeepers at the sessions with Stephen Enright and Aaron Beresford, 2 very experienced goalkeepers. So we had done things like that. So we were really ready to go, and we had challenge matches lined up and all that. So as I say, when everything came to a halt, we didn't want to be pushing them too much, because a lot of the lads were getting bombarded with stuff from their clubs, from other sports they were involved in as well. So we thought realistically, if you were expecting them to do everything, they were going to be doing too much. And when things did return, that especially when it was unmonitored, that you could have had lads overdoing things. But in fairness, when we got back in June, when things opened back up, most guys came back in very good physical condition, and they had been probably back with their clubs a few weeks at that stage as well. So it was actually great to get back onto the pitch, especially back into June, lovely weather, and get back doing the Friday night sessions, which every group was doing, and we had a timetable of matches then, which had been organised by Déise Óg through Munster Council. So that was something to lead into as well, one thing with the under-16 group is that obviously you have a tie-in with under-17. So that kind of impacted on us when we did return, in that we had a large number of boys who were actually on the under-17 football and hurling squads. And obviously there were better players as well. So we actually went back to the clubs and some guys who had tried before and asked them to come back in, to supplement the numbers for our training session. So that actually turned out to be a very positive thing in the end, because guys who we had maybe seen in a year or more came back in and they had improved, and they really pushed on in terms of the standard. And then you had your under 17 squad members coming back as well. So by the end of the summer there, we had almost 40 lads or over 40 lads who were either with the squad the whole time or sometimes. And so then it was great. It's great for the future and for next season's under 17 squad, that does a large number of boys who are thereabouts in terms of playing county minor football next year. So I'd say it was great to get back out on the pitch and have uninterrupted activity there for three months or whatever it was,
Yeah, it certainly was for the lads' point of view as well, to get back into that routine as well, as you mentioned, Vinny. And the summer, as you say, was pretty much bang on or all go with terms of games and fixtures, the Friday nights and that. So we pleased Vinny with the summer, with what he got through in terms of who he saw on that. I know he had guys involved with the minor squads in terms of hurling and football as well this year, but from an under 16 squad, were you happy how the summer went in terms of training and matches?
And we were, I suppose, but you have to be realistic too. And as I say, once club activity started back up, a lot of these guys were very busy. Now, funny enough, the under-16 squad, because there's no under-16 club competition, they were probably the one group that weren't maybe overexerted, in that the under-15s obviously they had a competition going on, and they were leading into under-17 with the clubs as well once that started. So the under-16s probably a little bit more scope to do a little bit more with them. But we stuck to our weekly sessions, and we had a lot of dual players and we had agreements in place with the under 16 hurling management, Shane Hearn and them. We'd avoid clashes, and that worked out very well. We actually had all that agreed before we got back, and even the year before the pandemic hit, we had a schedule that's training and matches agreed before that everything came to halt. So we would have been happy with what we got through, in terms of matches and things like that. Now, I suppose right at the end there, once the club minor hurling championship started up, it was very intense in that you had clubs playing matches on Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday. So once it came to that, we decided it was time to call halt, and our last scheduled match, which was on the 4th of September, we actually pulled that because it was just unfair to be asking players to make themselves available when they were so busy with their clubs, and fellas starting to pick up injuries and things, and club is the most important thing at the end of the day. So you just certainly have to you have to be conscious of that. So but once that's the under 17 hurling is reaching knockout stage now very soon, I think after this weekend. So once we have a better idea when things are going to pan out, we'll reconvene with the squad for another few weeks into late September into October, and that's the parents to be expecting a message from us in the next few weeks. So we'll wrap up the year then properly, with the training sessions and possibly a match or something, So it's good just to tie these things up properly at the end of it, So yeah, I suppose to answer your initial question, we would have been happy with things this year.
Yeah.
There's a great structure in place now. In fairness, the work that was done during the lockdown by Déise Óg and the new committee they put in place I've been knocking around the juvenile scene for a good few years, but I would say this structure that they put in place now is probably the best we've had in the county ever. Obviously it's only a structure and initial structure, and it'll be built on, I'm sure, in the next few years. But certainly there's a real organisation and the people involved with Benji Whelan and Jason Ryan, Jerry Fitzpatrick, John. Where they've done it all as players and managers and all that, so they have a huge depth of knowledge that they can tweak things to improve them going forward. So that should be a huge benefit to football and hurling in the county in the next 5 to 10 years, I'd say.
Yeah, let's hope so indeed. And actually, yeah, you hit the nail on the head there, and I touched on it with Shiner last week about those structures in place, Vinny, for the betterment, I suppose, of GA in the county. And I suppose everyone's singing off the same hymn sheet, if you like, as well, at juvenile level and at development squad level. That's important, I suppose, for teams and squads going forward, I suppose, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And I say it is a structure, it's what you hang on the structure, I suppose, is important. But without a structure, like, people are just working as individuals, and, like in a team, like if individuals working away and not coordinating things, sure, you're never going to get to where you want to, So that's what I think is potentially so good about it, and they're, as I say, they're proven people who have a huge amount of GA knowledge and experience, and I suppose it's a matter of mentors making themselves available, like from under 13 up to under 16 in the next couple of years, and the lads will find a role for everyone, and and if you're not suited to the role, like, they can bring someone in to help you out and help improve the people that get involved, because the reality is most people get involved in development squads as mentors are active in their clubs or have been active in their clubs. So by coming in and working with maybe people with a higher level of knowledge than you only get better, and you go back to your club then a better coach or a better manager or better secretary or whatever, So that's why, that's how I would see it's been of the most benefit, apart from the initial benefit of being organised and having someone to pick up the phone to. But I think long term it can grow the pool of mentors and coaches and managers, for years to come, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, 100%. And in terms of the under-16 squad then, Vinny, who else is involved in the backroom team with yourself?
Yeah, I suppose most of us have been together there, say, with a couple of years. So as I say, therethere's myself and there's Michael Flynn from Galtier. Michael is the current Galtier senior football manager, so obviously he's would have played Galtier the whole way up, and played with county teams as well. There's Walter Power from Kilrosty, and as I say, Walter would have played at a high level when he was playing. He was under 21 and probably senior with Waterford, and we were joined this year by Cillian O'Keefe from Flashmore. Cillian is still playing intermediate hurling with Flashmore and senior football, but I think it's Cillian's first venture into kind of coaching. I'm sure he's been involved in Flashmore down through the years, but he's been a huge addition and bringing a lot of enthusiasm and new ideas and things into the group. Brian Whelan from Fuse would have been involved before this year. He stepped away this year. He was involved for previous years, but I'd say, like, all them lads, Cillian played county senior for a couple of years as well, so all them lads would have played at a high level, so they know the kind of the standard you have to try and set. I mean, it's I suppose you are dealing with young boys, but at the same time you have to set a standard that you're going to come across in other counties, and kind of try and push the guys who have the potential to go on to the next level. And it's good to have lads there who have kind of been there and done that, like, and can spot them kind of things, So I'd say, they have great experience, and we're very happy with the bunch we've had together,
Yeah, great stuff. There are plenty of household names and all from great clubs as well, and great backgrounds. And as you say, Vinny, a lot of these guys now will be hoping to to break onto. I know some of them were involved with the minor squads this year. I'm sure you'll have many more next year in terms of 2022 and breaking onto Waterford minor squads as well. So is that your aim as a management now, to see as many of these guys and have them best prepared, I suppose, to go into a possible county minor setup maybe next year?
Oh, well, sure it is. I mean, I suppose some people say that's the purpose of development squads. It's not really. I suppose the purpose of the squads help guys develop, and then and go back to their clubs better players, and make sure they keep playing with the clubs into adult level and contributing to the clubs, I suppose. But obviously, if you don't have a good development squad structure in place from 14 to 16, you're not going to produce good under 17 teams. Do you know what I mean? So, I said that we had 10 lads from our squad who were in the under 17 football squad this year, and there was 5 in the under 17 hurling squad, which is a huge number. Do you know what I mean? So as I say, they obviously have tasted what the standard is of that level, so that will be a huge benefit to them next year. And you'll have other lads stepping up to the mark now. So I think the next year's under 17 squad will be a good, strong squad. I mean, this year's squad, they took a bit of a hammer from Cork, and they were, there were some players didn't make themselves available, which was a pity, and it showed on then when they got to play a team level with Cork. But hopefully that won't be happening in years to come, because all Waterford teams, we need to get our best teams on the pitch. That's the reality of it. Every county needs to get the best team on the pitch. You know what I mean? That's what makes them competitive. So I'd be confident that next year that we'll get our best team out. It'll be more than a match for that. For Clare, Tipperary and Limerick in Munster. So hopefully the format returns to the round robin format, which obviously had to go out the window with the pandemic. But it's a good format when you're organised and have a team ready for action.
Yeah, it certainly is indeed. Well, we've had an exciting summer, and you've put great work in behind the scenes as well, and there's a good group there. Vinny Murray, Waterford Under-16 Football Manager, appreciate you joining us on this week's feature, and to you and all the lads there, continued success.